duelists, it is I, Hellgear, and it's Albaz time. Everybody has been going crazy over this deck, and it's only fair that I crack mine open and see the goodies that are inside. And I do put emphasis on goodies that are inside. So, let me just open this bad boy up, and then let's take a look at the perils of the Albaz deck. So, we got this that nobody cares about, and then we have our cards. And real talk, where do you open this thing? Oh, okay, there's the tab. Real talk, budget Albaz decks, that's going to be like a very difficult sell, especially since these things never go around the entire deck anymore. They never do, and that's an unfortunate part about these. They don't go around the deck anymore. Alright, that actually feels better. We got that off. You know, we got to keep this plastic because it holds the frame of the deck. Alright, so we have Tri-Brigade Mercourier. When your opponent activates a monster effect while you control a fusion monster that lists Felon of Albaz as material, quick effect. You can send this card from your hand or face-up field to the graveyard. Negate the effect. If this card is banished, add from your deck to your hand a Fallen of Albaz or monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz, except another Mercourier, each effect once per turn. Good. So it's a Tri-Brigade piece that has nothing to do with Tri-Brigade. Fantastic. Springin's Kit. Speaking of Tri-Brigade, that has nothing to do with Tri-Brigade. Geez, Kit is getting passed around a lot. If you have a fusion monster that mentions Felon of Albaz as material or your field or on your field or graveyard, special summon this card from your hand. Okay, extender. If summoned, you can add to your hand one of your branded spells or traps that is banished or in your deck or grave. Then place one card from your hand on the bottom of the deck. Each effect once per turn. Okay. This might be placed as a tech in the branded deck. Not quite sure. And then we have the Golden Sword Soul. Okay, so another Sword Soul card that's not going into the Sword Soul deck. we know what happened with the Iris Sword Soul. Nobody plays Iris Sword Soul in that deck. When a monster declares an attack, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, negate the attack. Then if you control a face-up fusion monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz as material, you can destroy the monster that declared the attack. Interesting. So you're essentially a... You are a battle fader, but instead of ending the battle phase, you act as Sekiretsu armor. Okay. If a monster is banished face up, except during the damage step, you can banish this card from your field or graveyard. Special summon a light spellcaster monster from your hand or graveyard whose attack equals its own defense. Each effect is used once per turn. Alright, that's a pretty specific bring back. And now we have the real big sells here, starting with Mirror Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon. Why is this not water attribute? Because branded is dark. We need Albaz himself and a fusion synchro exceeds or link monster. Oh yeah, this is why Super Poly went up in price. You can only control one Mirror Jade. Once returned as a quick effect, you can send a fusion monster from your extra deck to the grave that mentions Fallen of Albaz as material. Banish a monster on the field. Also, this card Cannot use this effect next turn. Gotta love spot removal. And because it's non-targeting, it can out-dragoon. Gotta love that. If this fusion summon card in its owner's control leaves the field because of an opponent's card, destroy all monsters your opponent currently controls during the end phase of the turn. Oh, so it's... Wow. Yeah, that's a good reason for ulti super poly targets, ulti super polys to go up to 200 and something bucks. This is spot removal, and then if it dies and then if it leaves the field because of an opponent's card, it nukes your opponent's board at the end of the turn. Yeah, I can see this getting limited in the fall. I really can see this getting limited in the fall. Lebellion the Searing Dragon. And we need a dark monster and Albaz. So, if this card is fusion summoned, you can discard a card. Fusion summon a level 8 or lower fusion monster from your extra deck, except another Searing Dragon, by shuffling the materials mentioned on it into the deck from your monsters on the field, graveyard, and or face-up banished cards. Okay, good variety. For the rest of this turn, this card cannot attack, and you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except fusions. Each effect is once per turn. Alright, that's actually really decent for this card. That's really decent. And then, of course, Branded Fusion. Because, Verte Anaconda, ladies and gentlemen. Branded Sword. How does this work? Banish any number of branded spells or traps from your graveyard. Special summon that many Ice Blade tokens. Level 8 Dark Dragon. 2500 attack, 2000 in the back. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one of your banished monsters. That is Fallen of Albaz or mentions Fallen of Albaz. Add the monster to your hand. You can only use one effect per turn and only once that turn. So this is an oat. Okay. That's an oat. Retribution. This is the counter trap. This actually sounds pretty cool. When a spell or trap or monster effect is activated that includes the effect that special summons monsters, return to the extra deck a face-up fusion monster you control or 2 fusion monsters in your graveyard that mention Fallen of Albaz as material. And if you do, negate. And if you do that, destroy the card. So that's actually really good if you dump 2 fusion monsters like Masquerade or like Mirror Jade. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target a branded spell or trap in the grave except Retribution. Add it to your hand. And this is also an oat. So the traps are both oats, but Sword probably won't see play. Retribution, being a counter trap, can see play. And here's our Fallen of Albaz himself. We obviously needed this guy, or what is it, Albion, which also is this guy. I have the super rare version of this. He's treated as Fallen of Albaz, so that's good. Fleur de Lis, oh, goodness sake. Remember when that was pricey? Oh, we got King Ghidorah. Alright. Thunder King, the Lightning Strike Kaiju. All my Godzilla fans know this guy was based off of Ghidorah. Off of Ghidorah. We know that. Chaos Dragon Levianeer. Yep, that's a good card. We got Radion Kaiju. Again. A Common Scythe. Well, Artifact is now is now go in common charity. Scythe was the only artifact that I know of in the main deck that was not printed as a common. Baby Chaos Dragon Starly Seafort, that's a great reprint. Keeper of Dragon Magic, not so much. Summoner Monk, Common Ghost Ogre. No wonder TCG Player has this deck almost sold out. And the budget hand trap of choice, Valor. So this is another deck that we get two. The last deck that we got two hand traps, it was Valor and Skullmeister, which was one of Playmaker's decks. Brotor, shoutouts to Nashi and the Crystal Mech Knight deck. And we got Branded Lost. Is this one of the new cards? I'm going to read it anyway. Activation of your cards and effects that include an effect that fusion summons a fusion monster cannot be negated. Oh, so this essentially makes Branded Fusion spell speed 4. That's beautiful. Also, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when a monster is fusion summoned this way. Yeah. Ooh. Note to self. Any deck profiles that I have that use Verte Anaconda, I might want to get ready to post these, because this card is going to be the very thing that gets Verte banned. Think about that for a moment, folks. You're playing Branded Lost, right? And then you link summon into Verte Anaconda, which is fusion. You pay the 2,000 life, and your opponent cannot respond to the fusion aspect of Verte Anaconda if this card is in play. No Valor, no Imperm, no Ghost Ogre, no Solemn. Yeah, damn. Verte is now on life support, ladies and gentlemen. This spell makes Verte Anaconda, put Verte Anaconda on life support. I know Duelist has been talking about getting ready to ban that card, but this spell officially puts Verte Anaconda on life support. So if you didn't get those maximum gold copies for cheap and cheap in the winter to play with them, I'm going to tell you right now, because of this spell, and I can see a lot of people buying this common up like hotcakes. If you have Verte, you better enjoy it while you can, because this card is going to be the very card that nails Verte's coffin shut, even with the Predaplant support coming out. That's just disgustingly powerful. This spell makes Verte Anaconda fusion effect unresponsive. It's spell speed 4. Nobody wanted a spell speed 4 Verte, but they'll take it until it gets canned. If you fusion summon a fusion monster, you can add a Fallen of Albaz or a card that mentions, a monster that mentions it from deck to hand. This effect is once per turn. Okay, so if you fusion into Mirror Jade or Lubellion, or what is it, that bastard dragon, Titanclad Ash, you can rota a monster that lists Fallen of Albaz. So essentially, you can do this, fusion summon, and if, say, where is it? Oh yeah, it's in this stuff. So Albion, for example. This card says that in its text that it's treated as fallen of Albaz. So, if you fuse with this and Albion's in your graveyard, you can get it back once per turn. Yeah, ooh, boy. Branded in white is not new. Branded in red is not new. Branded bond, very nice. They just give you all the fusion forms. Fusion gate, fusion recycling plant, fusion substitute. But they don't give you polymerization because you don't need it. Another gold sark is welcome. And this right here is the reason why this deck will never be 10 bucks. This right here is the reason why the deck will never be 10 bucks. $40 card reprinted as a common. Yeah. And this right here is good. That means everybody who bought the display case of Call by the Grave, working on their branded decks, have 7 spare Call by the Graves. And this right here is the reason why no one else will pick up the Charmer Structure deck. Remember, the Charmer Structure deck selling point was the fact that Dark Ruler No More was in it. And now that this deck has it, and this is clearly the better deck, rip Charmer sales. Screams of the Branded, Judgment of the Branded, all of this is not new. Necrofusion is a good card. Back to the front, warning point. Team APS was talking about how floodgates needed to go, yet this structure deck gives us one of the most frustrating floodgates in the current meta right now. And a D barrier is good, and Awaken the Dragons is good. There it is, the Ash the Bastard Dragon, or as the TCG calls it, Titanclad. I love the Japanese name of this card better. It's just much better. And of course, these all mention Fallen of Albaz as material. So Branded Fusion, especially this one right here, I think I have this card. And then of course the tokens. So we have Albaz the Shrouded. Look at this. Then we have Ecclesia the Exiled. Tri-Brigade. Virtuous Vestals, and then Albaz the Dogmatic. I know DIS stands for Dogmatica Invoked Shaddoll, but the fact that it might be changing to Despia Invoked Shaddoll is going to be a very nasty thought. My hot take on this structure deck, to everybody who was like me and managed to get 3 copies of this, you are going to have one very good time with this deck. I can tell just by looking at it. The reprints in here are amazing. You know, structure decks needed these staple reprints, as well as having these really good prints of cards. Because, let's just be real, Konami is willing to understand that structured decks have been lacking, mainly because they take stuff out of them. But to note that this one is just hidden on all corners like this, you get the staple draw spell that almost every meta deck is playing. You get the comeback spell to combat hand traps, so you don't have to pay 30 bucks for Crossout Designator. And you get a core that can help out one of the hottest decks moving into this format. So, really good swings when it comes to this deck. Really good swings. Are we going to see Tri-Brigade Mercurier in a Tri-Brigade deck? No. No, we are not. I will tell you that right out the bat. This Tri-Brigade card is not going in a Tri-Brigade deck. Unless they fuse with, like, Albaz, forget it. But I'm very, very clam happy knowing that this is going to be just a very rough format coming into the summer. So I hope you guys are ready for Albaz and Despia to just run rampant on locals. I know my locals that I got this from, California Cards and Comics, they're not going to have a tournament on Sunday. But I was telling them, you'll probably see this deck come next tournament locals over the weekend. And they're like, I wouldn't bat my eye on it. So, duelists, if you don't know about the Albaz deck by now, learn about it. Learn about the Albaz deck. Learn about Despia. And come Ghosts from the Past 2, when everybody has affordable playsets of Albaz the Jester of Despia, expect to see this in the tier 1 spot. And until I get me some proper jesters, I'm not going to make a deck profile, because $90 for one copy of Albaz the Jester of Despia is just too much for my blood. Thank you guys so much for watching me open up this deck, look at the cards, read off some cards. Leave your thoughts of this deck in the comments section below. But for now, I take my cards to the box, because I'm done. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.